Good morning, Long Island, and welcome to CMM Live. My name is Joe Campolo. I'm your host on this beautiful Friday morning. It's August 24th, and here at CMM Live, we are always trying to help Long Island thrive. Today, we have great guests to talk about two of my favorite subjects. I've been really excited all week about this episode. We're going to be meeting first with Randi Busse, who's the founder and CEO of Workforce Development Group, and we're going to be talking about customer and client experience, as well as employee relationships and rants and raves and all kinds of great stuff. And on the second part of this segment, we're going to be talking to Michael Frenda, who is with Dale Carnegie, and we're going to be talking about professional and personal development. So a lot of great stuff to cover. Randi, welcome. Really appreciate you having you here. Just so folks know, Randi and I are friends, professional friends. We met because Randi has helped us at our firm grow and facilitate a lot of our training and facilitate a lot of our client service programs. And I thought that it was so valuable for us to have used that I wanted the whole world to be able to meet you and share you. I'm usually pretty greedy, but I feel like the world should share you. So welcome.
Well, thank you.
You know,
and hello to the whole world.
The whole world is watching right now. You know, so. I have to tell you that, and we talk about this from time to time, there is a service epidemic out there. You know, we are a service and an experience-based economy, and yet there is a service epidemic. Terrible service goes on. And you know, a lot of it in the summertime. So you get a lot of summer help, a lot of college help, a lot of people trying to find jobs for the summer. You know, so that's happening now. But tell us what got you into this field and
Sure.
how you started down this path.
Sure. Well, a little bit is actually selfish, and I was having poor experiences myself as a customer, and I was like, this is not right. And so I've always been service oriented. Spent many years at Verizon working in a call center, managing customer service reps, helping them take better care of customers while at the same time upselling and cross-selling, right? And you know, I'm of the belief that if you don't offer proper products and services to customers, you're actually doing them a disservice, right? One of our jobs is to educate our customers and our clients as to what it is that we offer. And so after being there for many years, I really felt like I wanted to take my skills and my passion to smaller companies, not so much the big, you know, corporations, but smaller companies, to really work with the founders, with the principals of the company, and help them infuse a culture of service and also a culture of ownership in their own companies.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there, because we, you know, our leadership team yesterday met, and the whole focus of our conversation was having an ownership mentality. I think it's so critical. So explain what you mean by that. Explain what you mean by employees and others having an ownership mentality.
Sure. So, you know, let's take you, for example, Joe. So as one of the founders of the firm, you are an owner of the firm. And so are your employees, the other attorneys, your professional staff, the administrative staff, are they of the same mindset as you, where they're thinking and acting like an owner, having skin in the game, caring about the outcome, really being as passionate about the business and the experience that you're providing to your clients as you and the other partners are? And so you don't have to give shares of stock in your organization to have people think and act like an owner of the business. It really is something that you can give them by empowering them to make decisions as if they were the owner of the firm.
Right, so that's a good question and something that I always wrestle with, right? Is it something that can be taught? You know, there's an employee mindset, there's an owner mindset. Can you bridge that gap with training and teaching?
You can, and the way that I go about it, Joe, is by facilitating a conversation. Because if I came into your firm and said, okay, listen, you all need to start thinking and acting like an owner, they would be like, what, are you kidding me? I'm not an owner. You know, Joe's an owner, or somebody else is an owner. And so it really is about connecting your heart and your head, and helping people realize that, you know, most people, I know you mentioned earlier about summer help, and summer help is a little bit different because it's a transient workforce and they're not always looking to put down roots, although who knows what a summer job could turn into, just like an internship could turn into a permanent profession. But I think it's about helping people connect the dots between what they do every day and their future employment in your organization. And so if you can get people to think differently about why they're there, what their purpose is, and the empowerment that comes along with their position, when that happens, it's magic. And you've seen it.
I agree,
I
agree with that, absolutely. And you talk about, it's seasonal help and it's summertime, so I just happen to have this this experience, and you ruined me now. So all the training we've done together, you've ruined me because, I am so observant and so aware of service. Mm-hmm. But where I find it incredible is, so if you go out to a fancy restaurant, okay, and they have summer help, you're going to have a terrible experience. Yet they seem to hire them, they seem to do lack of training, and then, that tarnishes their brand, in my opinion. Why is it a lack of workforce? Is it a lack of training? Why is there this insistence on trying to stack, these coffers with the inexperienced help?
Yeah, so, if you're talking about out east, it's hard to get help out there. However, you can't use it's summer as an excuse as to why service isn't as good as it might have been at another time of year. You talk about it ruins the experience, and if you have one bad experience at an establishment, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hotel, or whether it's a law firm, you might be the person who says, you know what, I'm never doing business with this company again. And so is it worth the risk that these owners are taking, where they're putting inexperienced staff or staff that are not engaged and committed the way a full-time permanent employee might be? Now, here's the thing. If you're a college student, let's say, and you're working for the summer, I would approach it as this. You know what? I don't know who I'm going to meet working at the restaurant. I don't know how my boss at the restaurant might be in my life at some later point where they might be able to give me a recommendation or introduce me to somebody. I would be on my best behavior, whether this was a 6-week job or this was going to be my career. And that's what we talk about that ownership mindset. So I think it's something that it's inbred in us, but yet at the same time, we can convert what I like to call a renter into an owner. Right? So an employee might just be a renter. I'm there for the summer. It's just a paycheck. I don't really care. Can we convert them into an owner? Yes, but it starts at the top, right? Because the leader is setting the tone. How they're treating the employee is going to determine how that employee ultimately feels and how they act.
Yeah, and I think, look, I agree, and I think that it starts at the top, but I can tell you that as a young high school and college kid working in the retail marketplace, I looked to develop my people skills. I looked to give good service. I knew that there was going to be professional growth along the way there, and that's bottom. That's bottom as well. That's motivation, and I'm not sure is that a generational thing? Do you think this generation is different? How are you observing things?
I don't like to stereotype, because there are plenty of older people that are renters and don't really care, and they're just there for a paycheck. I think a lot of it is how we're raised and what values our parents instill in us. But there's nothing different from you than every other college kid. You just had a sense of, this is important, this is my reputation, I want to do the right thing, I'm ambitious, and look how it paid off for you. You're now, the principal of a very successful law firm on Long Island.
Yeah, well, you're not doing too bad yourself, In addition to being one of my favoriteest people, you're a very accomplished professional. You're an author. You've gone from the corporate world into a great consulting company. Talk a little bit about your path. And talk about, things that you learned during that path.
Sure. So, it was quite different leaving corporate, because when you're in corporate, if you need anything, you just call another department and they're able to help you. And so I didn't even know what the word networking was, Joe, because I didn't have to network. And so coming out, if you will, and starting my own business, I had to figure out who I was, who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up. And I had to, shake a lot of hands and kiss a lot of babies to get established as a credible authority on the topic of customer service. And so it was slow in the beginning because I didn't know anybody. But I wound up getting my first client within a week of declaring myself in business. And I wanted that easy button, that Staples easy button, that was easy. And it wasn't easy. It just happened to be I was in the right place at the right time. So slowly over time, I've built up my presence, and a lot of it has to do with being interviewed. A lot of it has to do with speaking. We might have met that way initially, where you might have seen me speak and ultimately wound up bringing me in to do some work in your firm, and then giving me a platform at one of your breakfasts where you introduced me to other business professionals. And so for me, speaking has been a very big platform and opportunity for me to share my message. I don't speak at a level of 20,000 feet. I talk like we're talking now, where it's all about how we're being made to feel as customers and clients, and it does seem to resonate with people.
Yeah, great feedback from not just my partners, the fellow owners, but the staff and the team that when you had worked with us, that very down to earth, very easy concepts. I love the way that you're able to overly simplify complex human psychology and human relations. Part of that I think has to do with your imaginary friends, Rant and Rave. Okay, and it's always interesting. I have some pictures of them in my office, and people always ask about them. Let's show the viewers Rant and Rave there. There they are. So talk about Rant and Rave. Talk about how you created them, because I think it's fascinating, and it's so visual and so easy to pick up on the concepts.
So I can't take all the credit, because Rant and Rave were actually the creation of myself and my co-author Carol Hetty, and I'll just show the book real quick. So this is Turning Rants into Raves.
Yeah, great book, by the way. I've read it, great book.
Thank you. Turn your customers on before they turn on you. And so Carol and I came up with the concept of these two young ladies, Rant and Rave. They work in your firm, they work in the hotel out east, they work at the movie theater, they work at Home Depot, they work everywhere. And so Rant and Rave are females for illustrative purposes only, because we know, men are rant and rave just as well as women. But the difference is, Rant is the one, Joe, who's just there for the paycheck. Look at her body language. What's that telling you? It's like, leave me alone, don't bother me, I'm on my break right now. Yeah. And so when this person is representing your organization, they're not making a good first impression, they're not making a good last impression. And the difference between Rant and Rave, Rant is, how can I help you? She's smiling, her body language is open. And when I talk about owner, this is the epitome of an owner. What can I do for you? How can I help you? Rant is the one who doesn't want to be bothered, and she's going to not answer the phone when you call because she doesn't want to talk to an irate customer. So these two women, they're icons that once you get introduced to them in your firm, you now have vocabulary that you can use, where if somebody's doing something that isn't necessarily customer friendly or client friendly, oh, are you being Rant right now? Is this the way Rant would act, or is this the way Rave would act? So I have a lot of collateral that I leave behind, with my clients as visual reminders. We have a choice as to who we're going to show up as every day. And you don't just make the choice at 6 o'clock when the alarm goes off. You make that choice when you're driving to work. You make that choice when you walk in the door. You make that choice every time the phone rings. You make that choice every time somebody passes you in the hallway. And in order to make the decision to be Rave and think and act like an owner of the business, it's about being present. And right now, you're looking at me intently. I know you're present. But if you were thinking about, oh gee, I have to have a meeting after this, or I have to go somewhere, you wouldn't necessarily be present, and you wouldn't be able to give me the attention that I want and crave as a human being, and ultimately as your client.
Yeah, and listen, it's more important now more than ever. The little things, iPhones in meetings, iWatches in all of these things, being able to be present. I remember us saying you listen to a person more with your eyes than you do with your ears. And so I think this type of training is critical. One of the issues that we really touched on when you're working with the firm, and that we work with, are these sleeper rants, shall we say, especially from a client perspective. Clients that are very disappointed with the service that they're getting. But they're not going to come and tell you, you know, and I would much prefer that somebody openly rant to me, you know, or express some sort of dissatisfaction. But a lot of times they say, let me get through this experience and then I'm never going to do business
Sure.
with this company again. How do you help companies identify them, work through that, you know, identify that process? What are some tools companies can use?
Sure. So before I answer that question, I want to just mention to you, you know, we don't like to get complaints from our clients, from our customers. However, we should welcome them, because the example you gave, I'm going to use you now until you finish my situation, my case, and then I'm never coming back again. I'm not going to tell you, but rest assured I'm going to tell a whole lot of other people. And social media has made, you know, word of mouth on steroids.
Yes.
And so we need to create an environment with our clients, with our customers, where we solicit their feedback and then we act on it. And so my thing, I'm sure you remember, a complaint is a 4-letter word, Joe, and it's a gift.
Yes.
And so when we get a gift from one of our clients who says, I don't like the way you handled this, or nobody called me back, you know what, I'm really sorry that happened. Thank you for letting me know so that I can address it. So let's make sure we make the point that a complaint is a good thing. Don't shy away. And just because you're not getting complaints from your clients doesn't mean they're happy
Absolutely.
with your services. And so when you talk about these employees that are sleeper rants, if you will, because listen, if you had an employee that was outwardly rude to customers and wasn't showing up for work and had an attitude, they wouldn't last very long. But I'm talking about people that are kind of under the radar. They're maybe not volunteering. They're not taking ownership. They're not doing the next step. So if somebody asks them a question, they'll give them the answer, but maybe there was more information that they should have provided, which would have prevented a follow-up phone call into the firm. And so it's about thinking one step ahead, not just dealing with the situation that's right in front of you, but thinking about what's the next step? What else might this person be wanting from me or needing from me that I can proactively offer to them? So that's, you know, we want to be able to identify people that don't seem as engaged, that are, you know, kind of sitting in a meeting with their arms folded across their chest. They seem distracted. It's really about paying attention to your staff, and how they are with you is probably how they're going to be when they're meeting with clients.
Do you feel that everybody can be, you know, turned from a rant to a rave, both from employees and from clients? This is a big dialogue we have internally. Sometimes I feel like clients just aren't going to be satisfied no matter what you do, and they need to move on to another situation. And then I'm confused because I say maybe we let them down. Maybe we're not doing enough. Maybe we're not trying hard enough. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, so, you know, in my long career dealing with employees, dealing with customer-facing employees, there have literally been about 2 people that I have not been able to get over to the other side. And, you know, the telltale signs of the people that I couldn't convert. One woman, you know, when I said, well, how do you feel if a customer doesn't do business with you? And she said, I don't care. It's not my company. And that was, you know, red flag all over the place that I wasn't able to convert her. I think that most people want to do the right thing. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, let me be mean to customers. Let me piss off my clients so they don't do business with us. That's not our mindset. You know, are there a couple of people that might be thinking that? Yes. But for the most part, people want to do the right thing. They want to feel like they made a contribution, that they helped people, that they helped their firm, that they further their career. And so it's up to us as leaders of the organization to create the environment where they feel like they can be empowered, where they're treated with respect, because we talk about internal customer service, and all of your employees are your internal customers. And so how you and the other partners are treating the staff is going to have a ripple effect on how your staff ultimately treats your clients.
Yeah, I agree with that. How empowering is the word we? So I'm on this, right? Us, we as a team, in terms of that. I find that even when I use it internally with staff and externally with clients about how are we going to solve this problem.
Sure.
You know, how does that work? How do you feel about inclusion? What is the philosophy around that?
Yeah, so that's, you know, because you have to be careful though, because when you talk about we, your staff might be thinking we the partners as opposed to we the firm.
Right.
So I would almost want to clarify that. When I talk about we in a staff meeting, when I talk about we, I'm talking about all of us, because the firm is not just the partners. The firm is every single person, down to the person who's emptying the trash in your office, who makes this machine hum. So you want to make sure that you are talking in terms of we, my technician, my attorney, my bookkeeper, because even though they're not mine, I have to think and act like they are, because otherwise it's, well, they'll come out. Well, who's they, right? The technician. No, my technician is going to come out. And when employees speak with that kind of vocabulary, it gives the impression to the customers and the clients that this is a collaborative effort. This is not just one person who's taking care of you. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes people that may never have customer-facing interactions, but without those people, you're not going to get the full product and service that your company is offering.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's so important. Let's talk a little bit about some of the basic problems you see companies creating and very simple solutions that they could put in place to,
Sure.
to solve it. What are your experiences on a basic level?
Yeah. So even just answering your telephone, when's the last time that you called into your company and acted as if you were a prospective customer and wanting to see how you would be treated? Now, obviously, if you call into the firm, number one, they're going to know it's you because they're going to see your cell phone come up.
Right.
And number two, they're going to know it's you because your voice. And so get somebody else to call into your firm. As a matter of fact, I'll make the offer right here live that if anybody who's listening wants a mystery call made into their organization, I will do it. I will call. I'll act as if I'm a prospective customer or client inquiring about your services. I'll record the call and I will give you the audio recording as well as feedback as to how the call was handled. Because, by the time one of your prospective clients gets to an attorney, they've already maybe spoken to one or two people. And if that interaction didn't go well, they're never going to get to speak to the attorney. So I think the frontline people that you have, or as I like to call them, the director of first impressions, right? Michelle in your office is the director of first impressions. She's bubbly, she's friendly, she goes out of her way to help people. That is what you want representing your company. So I think it's important to see who is the voice and face of your organization and make sure that they're presenting in a manner that's in alignment with what you stand for. You talk about client service is so important, but if the director of first impressions is Rant, well, you're not congruent and you're giving mixed messages to your clients. So we have to make sure that what we're saying is what we're actually delivering. A lot of companies, they'll have a sign on the wall, customers are king, customer service is number one, or that'll be on their website. But if they're not walking the talk when it comes to the actual interactions that they're having, again, I don't know who I'm going to get. Is it Jekyll or Hyde? Is it Rant or is it Rave?
Yeah, it's great. It's really great points. How do you feel about technology and having live people to be able to speak to? So we're very big in, we don't want an automated phone system. We want live people talking to it. And you come from Verizon and you come from, a very automated world, I'm sure, and a lot of companies are automated. What do you see as the pros and cons of that?
Well, I'll tell you about my experience as a customer. Okay, so there's nothing worse for me than being stuck in an automated system where I'm trying to speak, they're not recognizing me, and then finally I go like this, representative! And the steam is coming out of my ears, and I know you've experienced that yourself. Sure. And so how happy am I about the company that I'm trying to get a hold of because I need something from them when I'm stuck in this loop and I can't get a real person? So I think that there's a place for technology. However, we need to make it easy for customers and clients to do business with us, or they will find another company that will.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there should be an option if people prefer to text or chat. That should be one option because some folks don't want to talk to people, but I always feel that there should be a live representative for somebody to be able to at least listen to what the problem is comprehensively. So I know you have a training series called Book the Business Training. Talk about what that entails.
Sure. So Book the Business started out for the limousine industry. And, you know, they always talk about, well, did you book the business? You know, did you get the ride? Did you get the ride to the airport? Did you get the wedding? And so booking the business is all about getting the sale. But, you know, I think sale or sales is like a bad word. Because you know what? When you're a customer, Joe, just like me, I don't want to be sold. However, when we're customers, we have problems. And I don't mean problems like something's broken. If you're looking to get to the airport, that's a problem. You need to get to the airport and you need help solving that problem. And so if we can help our employees to think about how do we solve the problem that our customer is calling about or coming in about, all we need to do is do it in a way that we care, right? If we're thinking and acting like an owner, I'm interested in how you're going to get to the airport for your business trip. I'm going to ask you questions that are going to help me determine what is the right vehicle for you, whether you're taking skis with you, whether there's 10 people, whether it's just you and your wife. I'm going to find out the information I need. Is it a business trip? Is it a pleasure trip? I'm going to recommend to you when you need to get to the airport, when you should leave. I'm the expert. And so booking the business is about demonstrating your expertise to the prospective customer so that they decide to book the business with you rather than one of your competitors. I mean, you know how many limousine companies there are on Long Island?
I can imagine there's a few.
500.
Yep.
500. And that goes from the big ones with, you know, 100 cars to the small mom and pop who have, you know, one vehicle. What is going to differentiate each company from all of the others? It can't be price because mostly everybody charges about the same thing. It's not the black shiny car because everybody's got them. So it's got to be the way that you make people feel when they call you on the telephone. So booking the business is demonstrating ownership, it's solving the customer's problem, and at the end, you wind up winning the customer. And that's what that's really all about.
You know, I think that's a great point. I think, you know, unless it's a pure commodity like a television or something like that, everybody is now, you know, interested in the experience and the service. It's all about that.
And customers, just like us, are willing to pay more for a good experience. And so if that's not incentive enough to give a great experience to your customers, you can charge more. I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's a great point. So this is unbelievable to me, but our half hour is actually coming to a close already. It's been a wonderful conversation to have, folks. I have to tell you, there is nobody better in the business than Randi Busse when it comes to customer relations, client experiences. Randi, let folks know if they want to reach out to you. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. Thank you, Joe, and I appreciate those kind words. I love what I do. You can call me. My number is 866-596-4260, or you can find me on the internet, and the website is workdevgroup.com, short for Workforce Development Group.
It's Randi Busse, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's better in the business. Founder and CEO of Workforce Development Group. Randi, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Joe.